two, one. Welcome to the Hunters Hub. This is your host Fortuan, joined by co-host Sasha. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. I took a shower just for this. No, I'm joking. I
Yay.
I mean, I normally take a shower, but I
But
didn't.
just for this.
But specifically because I had the kids this morning and I couldn't take one in the morning, so I was like, "Kids, it's 7 o'clock. I'm taking a shower. Have fun." Um, and Ace, welcome back.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. Just a little short explanation. Hunter's Hub is a video game podcast born of the Monster Hunter community, and tonight we're going to be talking about the yearly event for video games, the Video Game Awards, hosted by Jeff Keighley. This is always a big thing for me personally. I've been a big proponent of the VGAs since they started, and even when they were the Spike TV Video Game Awards, well before that sort of sparked Keighley to do this stuff. Personally, I think this is a usually very positive event for the gaming community. It tries to highlight the developers as well as the publishers for their work, although they talk about the developers and development team a lot. They actually did not shy away from talking about some of the problems and going on specifically with Activision Blizzard. Now, they didn't call them out by name, but it was clear what they were talking about. They did not shy away from bringing that up early in the show, like last year when there was other problems with Activision Blizzard that they brought up at the beginning of the show. So it was actually really good to see that. Yeah, we're going to be going over our thoughts on the Video Game Awards, and I'm sure we'll have some other anecdotal stuff along the way, as usual. Hence is a podcast. So sidebars are going to happen. So how Ace, have you been on regularly since we did the last Video Game Awards show?
I have no clue.
I don't think so.
Time is a construct and it all blurs together.
I don't think so, because I think I had just brought on Morg at that point.
Okay.
Maybe. I could be wrong. So, how do you feel about the Game Awards in general?
Overall, they were pretty cool. There were some categories and some choices that I'd maybe choose differently, but
I have critiques.
I'm not a panel of game advisors and blah blah blah. So
I have critiques. For context for the listeners and everyone, we actually did a live streaming on the Discord. If anyone could join, where we I just did like a stream from my computer, and we all sort of watched together on chat. Ace was there. We had some other listeners there too. It's actually really fun. As people came in and came out, it was cool to talk about the show during the meantime. But during the show, I wrote down, I have like footnotes, but it's like a good about 6 paragraphs if you wrote it out. Like it's a lot of notes. So yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Sasha, how were your experience with the Game Awards? Is this something you followed before?
Yeah, I think the first time I watched it was on Spike TV.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I had a lot more time to play video games, I cared a lot more about who won and who didn't win. But I think this time around, looking at nominees and looking at who actually won, I don't have very much in this ball game. But
sure,
it's fun to see like developers and companies as they progress along the way. I definitely recognize some of these franchises, but didn't play them.
Mm. Well, that's fair. I think I don't think I played a ton of the games that were on these lists as well. I played a few for sure, and I definitely voted for those. But there were certain categories I did not vote in this year. This is the first year that I was straight up just like, I'm not going to vote because I played none of these games. I don't feel that's fair. Like, I'm not going to pick. I did, although I will say I did play Deathloop, which got a lot of awards. Deathloop's kind of fun, but my playing of Deathloop was less than 20 minutes. So take that with a grain of salt. But I did. I was kind of glad to see Deathloop win a lot of stuff, although I didn't make any notes of Deathloop. Yeah, let's just get right into it. So my first critique is the very first thing we saw in the pre-show. So we turned it on during the pre-show. And the pre-show, and this is my big critique of the Game Awards usually, is where they rattle off a bunch of awards at once and they don't really give the time of day to certain awards because they're less popular, that kind of thing. But one of the awards that has always, I don't know, in every other Game Award, if I'm not mistaken, was always a big deal and was something they came up with at the Game Awards, which was called Games for Impact, or they used to be called Games for Change. It was the first pre-show award, and I feel like that was a bad move, like a real bad move, to put that in the pre-show. Like, I feel like that should have been in the main show.
Considering the game that won, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
The reason that game won, if I can remember, is I only played the first episode because these are the ones that they come out episodically. So I played the first one, and
for context, audience, Life is Strange is the winner for Games of Impact.
Yes. So Life is Strange, I've completely played through the very first Life is Strange game, which doesn't have really a whole lot, I think, in terms of LGBTQ representation. But the kind of glancing over the plot of the one True Colors, the one that did win this time, it's a big deal with LGBTQ community. Yeah. And I feel I don't want to give away any of the plot points because with the episodic games, every single episode hits you with something big. But I feel like, especially given that they're going hard on Activision and Blizzard and how they're treating some of their not white male employees, this should have been a bigger deal. This should have been a much bigger deal in their show.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it was I immediately, Ace, I don't know if you were on the call yet, but I was like, oh, come on. Really? Seriously? In the pregame? Like, what the heck? Like, I was like a little high energy on this one when this happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's largely something I would say that the gaming industry struggles with is inclusivity and understanding of LGBTQ. I mean, last year it was a whole big meme and kerfuffle with The Last of Us Part 2, and there were people out there being like, oh, Ellie's gay now? And I'm like,
she's been gay if you played the DLC.
Did you not play the expansion that they did? Mm-hmm. And I mean, even in just like the base story, I felt like there were enough hints there that led you to understand that,
I would
she's
like
not
to
really interested in guys.
I would like to admit, as a clueless male gamer, I had no clue until the DLC.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, just like her interactions with like the younger boy, and they're sort of, it's more just platonic and stuff like that.
Sure, so, but also I didn't really think she was looking for a boyfriend in the middle of the apocalypse too.
Now, Clementine in The Walking Dead does look for a boyfriend, so it happens.
I didn't play Walking Dead.
Or girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
It can be either or. But like that's sort of something that I like with story-driven games like that. I've sort of like kept it in the back of my head as like a little thing to watch out for. Just because like every now and then it's it's something that you can pick up about a character, so that you can sort of see why that certain interactions are going certain ways, and why others don't go the way you'd think they would potentially.
I normally don't put
Um,
enough stock into people making stories for video games for me to really look into it that deeply, because I'd mostly just assume that it's going to be pretty light and pretty shallow and not have a lot of depth to it until after I finish it and then realize afterwards. Like I there's not a lot of games. Now the list is growing these days of where I actually enjoy the story and think it is well written. But yeah, I don't go in looking for anything like that in a game because I just assume it's not going to be there. Anything, anything
like I said,
yeah,
it's more subconscious than it is overt that I look for it.
sure.
I just sort of keep like mental tabs,
Hmm.
so to say.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I would agree that it's very much kind of weird that they put that before the main show actually began,
Yeah.
when that would be something that, you know, a lot of people find important in their everyday lives,
Sure.
to have that representation.
I also kind of think, with it being like Impact, wouldn't you want it to be part of the main show if the whole point is games for change?
Yes.
Like, you want people who are underrepresented to see their games, the ones that they hold close to their heart, like being held up next to the Forzas and the Deathloops and all the other big ones that are on this list.
To be honest, I think they just need to do away with the concept of the pre-show in general. Just start the show, do all the ads and stuff they do in the pre-show, right? And just start the show and have it be longer. I mean, the main show, people complain it's like, oh, it's already almost 3 hours. I'm like, it's a ride for me. The whole show is usually just a ride. I'm done when the show's done, and they're like, oh man, that was a long time. I'm tired. During the show, I don't feel that at all. During the show, I'm not like, oh man, what's going on here? Like, I'm just like, what's next? What's next? Okay, these guys, let's hear this. Like, I don't. Overall, I think the show was very good this year. Even though I didn't care a lot about the games, this year kind of proved it to me that, like, yeah, I just enjoy this show. Like, I enjoy seeing people happy and celebrate, and there was a lot of people that were very happy to be meeting in person since it was digital last year. There was only a couple super weird moments in it, like especially the Jim Carrey thing for the Sonic thing. I don't know if you saw that, but like
Yeah.
Jim Carrey basically miming his grandfather abusing him was a really weird joke, like a really weird one.
Uh-huh.
And then even the I don't remember his name, but the guy who voices Sonic, he was up there actually on stage, because Jim Carrey just had a recorded video that he sort of like addressed the Game Awards. But like the guy, I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. But he's a known comedian before he did Sonic. But like
Ben Schwartz.
Okay, yeah, Ben Schwartz, and he was even kind of like, okay, that was kind of weird. Let's keep going. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it was part of the bit. I don't know, but it was like, okay, that joke went a little far.
Maybe Jim Carrey is going crazy, or maybe he was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna fuck with people because I can, because I'm Jim Carrey.
I think it was part of just him being Dr. Robotnik in the series, that he was just like going over the top with the creepiness, I guess. Whatever. We'll get there. So number 2 on my bulletin board, and feel free to interject if there's something I miss or something you guys want to talk about. But this is pretty much like as things go. I wrote things down that, like, I didn't write everything down. But the next thing, Telltale Games are back with a game called Expanse from the TV show Expanse.
Yeah, which is weird.
Never saw
them
the show.
Being back feels weird to me, because it feels almost like Toys R Us being back. It's like, are they really back, or is it like
A subsidiary of Sears?
The same heads that screwed things up in the first place? Like, who all is back from them? Like the actual like devs and stuff, or what situation are we in? Are we in for Disaster 2.0, or are we like good?
I don't think everyone is there, because I saw another game. I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes closer, but there's another game that's coming out that has developers from Telltale on it, but it's not a Telltale game.
Yeah, there is. I think you're right, Sasha. I think there is something like that.
So I've never watched The Expanse. I might give it a go just because I do love Telltale games, at least the Telltale formula.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give The Expanse a go to see if I might play this new game.
Okay. I very much have no idea. I've only played one Telltale game, and it was the Batman one, and on the Switch. Like,
you should.
This was a total like, hey, it's cool, they're back. Not playing it. I have no.
You should
investment.
You should get the Walking Dead series and play it.
I don't.
You will.
It sounds better than the show. Emotions. It
is way better than the show.
It does, because I was out on the show episode 2. Like episode 2 on The Walking Dead, I was out. I'm like, this is about people drama and not person, like not versus zombies, and I am out.
That's funny. Most people say they dropped off after season 2, at which point I'm like, skip season 2. Resume at season 3.
Episode 2.
I've watched a shameful amount of it.
Season 1, episode 2, I'm out. The moment you figure out that there's this like grunting sex scene with the sheriff's wife and his best friend, I was like, nope.
Well, they thought he was dead, man.
I'm going to tell you what. Lori's not going to make it much longer, so it's all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
I
just come up and then
I'm not.
He really does, though.
I am.
You just go back. Take all that malice you have for the sheriff's wife, and just know it's not going to end well for her.
I'm not. I get the context. They think he's dead. That's not the problem. The problem is it's like this immediately already said. This is a soap opera with zombies, and I'm like, I'm not for this. I want zombies. I just want zombies.
That's what the graphic novels are like. The graphic novels are just a soap opera with zombies. The whole point is that humans are dangerous, but you should play the Walking Dead Telltale games. Especially, I think, as a parent now, like it's going to hit you. It's going to knock the wind out of your sails.
I was a parent when I watched that. I've been a parent for a while.
No, the Telltale games.
Sure, okay. Yeah. I get you. I mean, yeah, as a parent, even The Last of Us is kind of rough at times, because it's like, oh yeah, he's totally replacing his daughter with is it Ellie? No, Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie.
I keep getting her confused with the character from Between Two Souls, who is played by Ellen Page.
Oh.
So. Because they came out around the same time, if you remember that, and everyone thought that she was based off of Ellen Page, and she wasn't.
It's Elliot. It's Elliot Page now.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I did not know that. Okay, Elliot Page.
Yep.
All right. You see, I don't keep up with celebrity stuff, so. Anyways.
I'm better when it comes to people in my personal life than I am with celebrities.
Yeah. True. So, then they said something in the show, and I don't remember what it was, but it was like, here's, I can't remember what they said. They said something cryptic as like, well, these 2 new trailers were going to be, and then they showed, like, I was like, Ace, were you here when they said this? And I was like, oh, these are going to be shit. And then immediately it was the Monster Hunter trailer, and I was like, wow. I've never had my foot put in my mouth so quickly.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah, I was like, they said.
I don't remember you saying that, but I remember just seeing the opening and instantly recognizing it. And I was like, "Oh, yes, here we go."
Yeah, I don't think you heard
then,
me because Chrono was laughing his butt off because I was just like, they said something like, "Here's another trailer from Capcom," and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be shit." And I wasn't even thinking about Monster Hunter at that point, and then they showed off the Monster Hunter trailer, and I was like, "Well then, here I am being stupid and everything." It was a good teaser. It's not much more of a teaser than that's a little bit more than we got with the first one. Malzano. Now we have what's its name? It's the Silver Moon Dragon Wolf.
Luna Garon.
Luna Garon.
Which looks like it might have bleed and ice abilities because it is very like blade looking on its body, and then it looks like it has frost that is able to manifest on it. So.
Oh, we know for sure it is ice. We know for sure because that was confirmed, but I'm not sure about the bleed. That's speculation.
I know. I like to speculate sometimes.
Yeah.
And then we also have confirmation of 3 more amiibos for people to hunt down.
Yeah, we got a Malzano amiibo and its armor for the Palamute and the Palico.
So hopefully this time there isn't a ship that gets caught sideways that'll delay those and mess with the supply chain.
We'll see.
Scalpers. That'd be hilarious.
Scalpers are still a thing.
Well, you say that, but like 2 weeks ago when we went down to Chicago, coming back up, the Mall at Gurney Mills had like a large selection of the Monster Hunter Rise amiibos.
Nice.
Like they had at least 10 of like the Magnamalo and probably like 5 or 7 each of like the Palamute and the Palico, and then my local GameStop even had a decent selection of them too. So it seems like there's a wider distribution right now of them.
I just don't care for amiibos anymore. They don't do anything cool with them anymore. They just don't.
I mean, for me, it's the fun way to do DLC. If you're not going to do like a story expand.
I liked it. I liked it as like DLC, but the
DLC
is usually pretty meh, honestly. Yeah. And I still say the best one is in Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U. You get the spinning top weapon if you have a Link amiibo. That's the best one. And nice. There's nothing has been able to top that. Ha! I didn't even do that on purpose. The next game blew my socks off. I described it as Bollywood the game. It was amazing. I don't know if you saw the trailer for this, Sasha, because it would have been in the pre-show, not the. But did you? Basically, it's a bunch of. It's called Thirsty Suitors.
List, yes.
This game.
Yes, I am gonna play this game.
This game looks amazing. Now.
Yes.
And I say Bollywood the game because it is straight up like Bollywood, like India, crazy. Like if you guys have ever seen some Bollywood stuff. Now I've never watched a Bollywood movie, but I see a lot of like special, like the Corridor Crew is a YouTube channel that does like special effects and stuff, and they talk about Bollywood a lot and show off a lot of their crazy stuff. The crazy stunts and stuff they do, and this is basically that in a video game where it's just like, are we fighting or are we flirting? And she's like, why not both? And it's just like super 100% cheese. And
I feel like it's gonna be an answer to Scott Pilgrim because it's supposed to be like her ex. All of her exes are the antagonists.
Yeah.
And then what? The mom is like getting super buff, and then at one point she takes out what do they call it? Like the chaka or something, which is like a sandal, and just like has like a mega one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, that was goofy.
This is a goofy, and I love it. This is such a cool game. And you talk about having like representation and stuff. We don't have a lot of like a lot of India games that we see a lot in the United States, and this was a really cool like look at it, like just a hyper culture kind of thing. It was just like, oh, I love it. This is cool. Gosh, I watched some show on Netflix that actually was about some an India girl, but in America, and I couldn't remember the name of it. It was crazy because she's just a nut. She's like, this girl is just a nut, and she's just trying. Like the show starts off with her basically going up to the popular boy's house in high school and being like, "Take me, do me," and he's just like, "Oh boy, what's going on here?" And then I can't remember the name of the show. I'd have to look it up. But it was good, and it was just like, oh yeah, I won't. And it had a lot of Indian culture in it because the main character is from India, and her family is, so it was actually really cool. Yeah, this game looks super awesome, super fun. I'm excited to play it. I don't know what platforms they announced on it. I don't think I remember seeing that, but I was just like, yes, all the way. For some reason, I wrote down Evil Dead. I don't know why I wrote down Evil Dead.
Maybe because of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Maybe. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. They revealed that game, which looks like it's going to be the same as Jason, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's by the same developers that did the Friday the 13th game.
Then they had another humorous trailer called Have a Nice Death. And it was like a goofy Grim Reaper kind of story thing. It looked really cool. It kind of looked like a Metroidvania, and if not, it was like something in that style. That was entertaining, but I didn't have a lot of notes on it. Just Have a Nice Death was the name.
Yeah, to me, it sort of looked like a combination of like Hollow Knight and The End Is Nigh, which is also a platformer.
Sure.
And a bit more of a goofy one because you play as like a black blob in a city that's falling apart.
Okay. So then that was it for the pre-show, which was a lot of ads and stuff in the pre-show, but it is the pre-show. And then we got to the main show, and they had a really solid opening song. Now, do you remember what the song was from? I know Sting was singing it.
I think this might have been one of the points that I dipped out at.
Okay. Some game song from a game this year, and Sting was singing it. It was actually really cool. I don't know the game it was from. Someone in the chat had to actually explain what game it was from. But it was good. It was a good song. But solid opening, and then immediately into the impassioned speech about abuse in the gaming community. And they're actually now a hotline they created a hotline for abuse. And I do believe, I'm not sure, because it happened. Yeah, as it happened, I was taking notes. I do believe that it was supposed to be not just online, but also like workplace abuse and stuff. Like, I think they actually are creating a hotline so you can go to a safe space outside of your company and report something. I'm like, that was what we were talking about earlier. They really addressed the whole Blizzard Activision stuff.
That's like, I think that's a pretty big deal that they're at least trying to put something in place instead of just like thoughts and prayers, best wishes for all the people who've been affected by this.
No, yeah, they had immediately, here's a hotline. This is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. Here is how you do something about it. You report it. See, like, they were not just saying like, hey, if you're a victim of this, I'm sorry. They were like, no, if you see this happening, you report it too. Stuff like that. Like, Keeley was very fired up about this. Now, a lot of people didn't. Before the show, he did a tweet that basically just said that Activision Blizzard is not going to be appearing in the show, aside if they win any awards, but they are not going to be. None of their games are going to be featured in any of the trailers or anything. So they made a stance in that way, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's not going to address it," and that kind of thing. And my personal take was, you don't know that. The show hasn't happened yet. And immediately, like really early in the show, he specifically addresses it. And I mean, he did this when the previous Blizzard guy stepped down for similar stuff a couple years ago. I can't remember. I can't remember his name, but he was one of the last Blizzard people to step down before all this stuff.
Right. And I mean, like, it. So what? That's like 2 years in a row that
Mm-hmm.
they've been addressed for that. I mean, that sort of shows that there's an ongoing pattern, and I don't think that just trusting them to do the right thing is going to fix it. Because I don't know if you've seen recently, but there's a push by a lot of the employees to unionize,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is probably a good thing because it's
There's
clear that within the company there isn't going to be protection for them. And
right.
they've brought in anti-union companies, like union busting companies, to like put an end to this. And I'm like, don't you kind of realize that maybe they're talking about unionizing for a reason? Don't you maybe feel that they think that there's
Oh yeah.
zero like years and there's zero protection and like
Well, they've been talking about unionizing
nothing for them?
for wages in general for years. Like since I was living in Dayton, that was a big topic just before I moved out of Dayton. So we're talking like 2018, 2017. There was a lot of talks about unionizing in the game industry in a whole. Because and we're not just
Well, like,
talking about like sexism in wages, which obviously is part of the reason why they were investigated, but also in general in the gaming space. Me as a business at the time I was a business what they call a business programmer, right? And then you have a video game programmer, and video game programming and business programming are pretty much they're not the same, but they're related. You learn the same skill sets, and then you branch off from there, right? Same base of skills. Business programmers, on average, in the industry, made 2 to 3 times more than a video game programmer. And even though a video game programmer was a lot more prestige and a lot more wanted and a lot more wanted job, they justified it by saying, "Hey, you want to be here doing this. You don't want to be doing the business programming stuff." So you're like what I like the level of experience that I had when I stopped working in that industry. I was making a little below what I should have been at 85,000 a year. The equivalent in the video game programming side was barely breaching 60. And
mhm.
when you live in places like LA, Seattle, all these high cost cities, that's nothing. That it's 60,
Yeah,
and you're getting you have like a full degree, and I'm using myself as an example because I had a similar degree as far as like financial stuff goes. Like I came out of school owing 75,000. So think about that school debt on top of whatever the cost of living is out there and all that kind of stuff. And they've been talking about that aspect of unionizing for a long time. And then we get all, the workplace abuse stuff that we've been dealing with the past year or two with Blizzard, Activision. This isn't the first time. Ubisoft had a lot of problems with this. Ubisoft is known for having problems like this. If you guys remember, there was a whole big thing about the CEOs of Ubisoft actually having like a "I'd hit this pool of the women in the workplace" kind of thing.
yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
like,
Activision Blizzard apparently had their Epstein room or whatever it's being referred to as. And
The
then
Cosby Room.
Cosby Room, yeah,
I thought it was Epstein, but
yeah, the
I
Cosby
mean,
Room. We
either
talked
or,
we,
I
we
think
talked
would
about it on
apply.
this show a couple times. Yeah.
Um, but I don't know if you saw this one recently. There was also an article I saw that said that some female employees had their breast milk stolen
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
out of the fridges.
that's just a
Like
weird one. That's just
what?
super creepy.
What? And then someone in the comments pointed out how I don't know if you've seen The Boys, but there was a scene in The Boys where they had a similar thing where one of the main heroes, Homelander, steals some breast milk from like the character that he's attached to or in love with, and blah blah blah, has like a weird sexual motherly relationship with to show how like twisted and fucked up he is. And I'm like, yeah, kind of fucked up to take something that's supposed to nurture a child from, a mother in a place that's supposed to be trusted. Like I know there's always like that joke of like lunches being stolen in a place of work, and that's always been the joke of like working in an office space, but like breast milk, like you're kind of extra fucked up, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah.
Because it's probably warm. They pumped it at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's gross. The whole situation is gross. Like all of it. Breast milk or not. It just got grosser with that. A lot grosser. But like I said, I think they did a good job addressing it earlier in the show. It's just, it's bad, and it needs a change. And I think that, yeah. I mean, the one series I would care about out of that company has delayed out the butt now. It's like a whole year and a half later now. So I'm like, yep.
What series?
Diablo would be the only one that I would care about out of the whole of Activision or Blizzard. So, yeah, I regret buying the Switch one now.
Both heads of that Hydra are pretty tainted, so.
Yeah, and that was the thing, is like a lot of people were like, oh, it's just Blizzard, it's just Blizzard. I'm like, no, Activision's got the same shit going on. It's just, ugh. So, on to more positive things. The next note I have is best indie game. Now, I haven't got to play a lot of these. However, I did vote on this one because I own one, and I specifically own it because I have wanted to play it. And that was Kenna, The Bridge of Spirits. Now, a lot of people didn't, like, a lot of people were like, oh, that's not an indie game. It came out on PS5, and it has, like, a physical release and stuff. It was like, yeah, that didn't have a wide physical release. I had to specifically ask for that at my game store. And they got, like, 2 copies, I think.
Yeah.
Mine and a general one for the store, because they're like, oh, yeah, Cham's interested in it. Other people might buy it, kind of deal, is the way they kind of took it. It was just like, I don't know. It was a cool looking game. It looks really well done. It looks something in the style of those sort of like the era of 3D platformers after Mario 64. So we're talking like 360 era,
like Crash Bandicoot,
yeah,
or Spyro.
Yeah, kind of like that, but I'm talking like 360 days, so I'm trying to think of... there's some game my brother played, but it looks more along in those lines where it's a little bit more of a fleshed out world and that kind of thing, instead of like these... Like, as much as I love Mario 64, it's like, here's like an island in the sky that is like this level, whereas this feels like, you're actually exploring something to a degree. And it actually looks, again, it looks really cool. I haven't got to play it yet. It is sitting there. It is on my list. By the way, speaking of my list, I started Dragon Age Origins. I started it. I will not be finishing it, and there's a reason why, and it's not the game's fault. 100%. The game is crashy and shit full of bugs. Like, I played for 3 hours, and I am not out of the tutorial area. Like, it kept crashing, and I would lose progress, and I had to rewatch the same dialogue stuff and repick the same options, and they would crash again. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is infuriating. So I got, like, a little ways in. I was like, this isn't worth it. This is not worth my time. I got the gist of how this game works. I remember it from before. It is better on PC. I did get to do combat and stuff. I basically finished the ceremony where you turn into a Grey Knight. And that's where...
A Grey Warden?
Yeah, the Grey Warden. And that's it. I was a dwarven commoner. I was a male dwarven commoner.
You haven't even met the cool party members yet.
I know.
Oh, you met Ogren.
I met Morrigan as well. I got that.
Yeah, she's what she is.
Well, she's in the party. I know that. I remember that from when I played it back in the day.
Yeah.
Ogren.
Well, that sucks that that's happening to you because you're going to miss out on a pretty great franchise.
No, I'm going to still play Inquisition. It's still on the list. Inquisition is there. I own it. It's on the list. I'm doing it. I'm not playing Origins. Origins, whatever reason, the PC version that I'm playing can't get its shit together, and I can't play it without it crashing.
I think Dragon Age also has the same thing that Mass Effect does. So if you go onto BioWare's website, you can pre-generate a game with choices and load it into Inquisition, so you can kind of like sort of know what's going on and why certain people might show up in your game. Might be worth just doing that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into it. But I am going to play Inquisition because hopefully that won't crash and burn all the time. Moving on, we had a Lost Ark trailer and an announcement of a February 11th release date. Now that's a cool one for me. Big ARPG fan. By the way, remember we had the quiz last week. I didn't realize this at the time, Sasha. And Ace, you may not have seen this also. We had the Titan Quest game that you guys didn't get. I was like, yeah, it was 2006. This game I like. Literally, they released expansion that day I didn't know about. They just shadow dropped a new expansion. So I've been playing Titan Quest again, which is in the genre of Lost Ark. And Lost Ark is a cool game. It is made... I can't remember what... I think it's Korean. I'm not sure. It's not... Part of the problem of it getting a stateside release is that it's in a whole nother country with a whole bunch of other problems of getting it here. But it is getting... Amazon is working with them to get it in the United States, and it is starting February 11th as a free-to-play game. You can play it for free. Probably has some gross microtransaction stuff to make up for being free-to-play. But I am very interested in this series. A lot of these ARPGs, they do really cool things to sort of stand out in the genre. And this one is, hey, you know those things called skill trees, like in World of Warcraft, where you make a class? There's a skill tree per skill. If you have a skill, like a battle skill, it has a skill tree.
That's how Elder Scrolls Online is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, which I don't love.
This is interesting to me, at least. But yeah, I'm excited. My brother and I are going to try to get through the Titan Quest expansion before this comes out in February. Unfortunately, the Titan Quest expansion said, hey, you know, all the 3 difficulties you got to get through, the new expansion is at the end of the 3rd difficulty. So if you want to start a new character, you got to play through everything 3 times, and then you can play our expansion. And I'm like, ugh, that's a lot, but I want to see it. So, but they're expecting you to have already had characters that far. I deleted a lot of my characters because I didn't like how they were going. So, I'm starting from scratch. At this point, we have the Sonic Movie 2 trailer. Looks super awesome. Did you see the trailer, Sasha? For Sonic Movie 2?
No, I skipped it because I haven't seen the Sonic movie, the first one.
Okay.
My brother liked it, but I just haven't watched it. It is
really solid. The girls love it. Very kid-friendly, but also good at the same time. It's not going to annoy you, I would think. Whereas something like, I don't know, other kid-friendly stuff that I have to deal with, like AFMAL.
Or finding out that there's a time limit in a Sonic game because my kid won't let us help her. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, 10 minutes. 10 minutes of the same song on loop. And it's all over.
Cool trailer. Like I said, they had this weird Jim Carrey thing. They're like, I like Jim Carrey. He's legitimately one of my favorite actors. And that was just weird. Like, Grandpa, don't choke me kind of deal. Like, what is going on
I'm gonna have
here?
to look this up. I'm gonna have to see this Jim Carrey thing.
It was very, very bizarre.
It looks like
Also,
I was right. It's Korean. Lost Ark.
I hope they find a way to bring in Ugandan Knuckles, since we have regular Knuckles.
You mean you hope they find a way?
Yes.
Oh.
Because I saw a post on Twitter today. Someone made like a little mini comic. They brought back the crazy guy from the first one, who drew Sonic. So I'm hoping they'll bring him back and have him draw Ugandan Knuckles.
Okay.
That'd be hilarious.
Idris Elba, right, is playing Knuckles.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really cool moment where they're like, "You're never going to get my power." Sorry, this is a spoiler for the trailer, I guess, but you're never going to get my power. And then like Knuckles catches him midair and like dunks Sonic in the ground. He said, "Who said I needed your power?" And that like Idris Elba voice, and you're like, "Damn." Wow.
And based on Robotnik introducing him, it looks like they're doing the Knuckles is led to think Sonic is bad or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see what happens to change that opinion.
Yeah, because Knuckles has always been like an anti-hero to begin with, and then he becomes the big stupid guy in Sonic Boom.
Yeah, where you can double jump, pause, and then double jump again, and then pause, and then jump, and then
oh
pause,
yeah.
and then jump.
So I don't know if you knew about that,
Again,
Sasha. That was a bug in one of the Sonic Boom game, where Knuckles has a double jump, but it resets if you pause the game, so you can just double jump again in the midair, and you can just jump infinitely high by pausing. It was
and people have been able to speed run the game in like less than an hour by doing that.
Knuckles OP. Yeah. So after that, we got Nightingale, which is a cool survival game set in Victorian timeline. I was really
this
cool.
This game sounds cool.
It looks really cool. They said like I was like, ooh, I like this. I like the creatures. I like the aesthetic. And then they were like survival building game, and I was like, ooh, okay, maybe not so much, but still look cool. And I saw more ads for it today.
But it's by ex-BioWare developers, so I feel like it's calling to me. It wants me to play it.
Fair enough.
I'm not gonna lie. When I booted up, because I started Dragon Age Origins today, and like I said, I was trying to play it. I'm not gonna lie. You seen that the blood spatter across the screen, and it turns into BioWare. I was like, oh, this feels good to see this again. And I was like,
that screen still looks good, and that's what, that 10 years old game.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that looks so cool. And then I went into the EA logo, and I was like, okay, less cool, but the BioWare part, yeah.
maybe that's why I'm not as okay with the Game of the Year choice, just because it's an EA game.
Oh, that's right. They published it. That's right. I don't look at EA for that game. We'll get there. We'll get there because it's my last note.
I know.
So the next trailer, unless you guys, do you want to talk more about the Nightingale? Okay.
That game looks pretty cool. I'm excited for it.
The aesthetics look really good.
Yeah.
I like how it's multiplayer, but I don't really, it's a lot of these are just teasers and not much you can say about them other than, hey, I want to play that. Maybe. The next one was the Gollum Lord of the Rings game.
Oh yeah. With the incredibly poor base design on behalf of the orcs, putting a lever way up and behind for the cauldron of molten metal. I was like, Is that what that one orc was supposed to be like watching over? Was that his job before he got dunked on by Schmeagol?
Don't worry about it. And it wasn't Smeagol. It's Gollum. That's a Gollum action. See, this is why I like the concept of this game. It's like the Paragon and Renegade thing from like Mass Effect or like Good and Evil and all those uh morality choice games. And it's like Smeagol and Gollum. That's a Gollum action. That's a Smeagol action. That kind of thing. Like I like this. I've always liked Gollum. I've always liked him in Lord of the Rings and stuff. He's a cool uh, antagonist. He's like, it's very weird. He's a protagonist up until he gets betrayed, and then he's an antagonist. But he was started off as an antagonist, and then he was sort of like a protagonist, and it becomes like in the movies. It's kind of hard to pinpoint, and I don't think his role is that much different in the books as well as the movies. But really excited.
Yeah.
I like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite properties. I'm excited to play Gollum. Did you see this trailer, Sasha, for Gollum?
Yes, I did see it, but I'm not super into Lord of the Rings, so
okay.
It's the poor base design, wasn't it?
Poor base design.
Sure.
Setting the molten metal dumping lever up and away where no one can see it.
Yeah.
Just so that he can remain hidden.
Yep.
Yep. It actually reminds me, if it works out the way I think it is, it looks like it's going to be like a good version of Styx. And I don't know if you guys ever saw, but Styx was a good stealth game where you played a goblin in like a fantasy world.
I played it.
I have never finished Styx. I have attempted to start and finish it twice. But I own both the games, Styx and Styx Master of Shadows, I think is the second one. I don't know. If it's a good stealth game like that kind of thing, I might be into it, but stealth games are hard for me to finish. I like them, but they're hard for me to finish because they get frustrating and boring. And like it is as cool as it sounds to be like the ninja stealth master kind of thing, which was kind of Gollum's role in things. He's not a good physical fighter. You're like, hey, this is really cool in concept, and then in execution, you're like waiting 5 minutes for the right cycle of guards so I can sneak, and it's just not fun. So after Gollum, we had the award for Best RPG. Now, this is where I'm going to let Ace kind of pop off here. I have some thoughts, and I already put this up on Twitter. I'm okay with the winner, and I'm okay for a couple reasons. But Ace, do you want to start off?
I mean, I will always say that Capcom and Monster Hunter deserve recognition.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, I haven't played Tales of Arise. I've heard good things about it. I mean, we also had CD Projekt Red, which, yeah, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We had Shin Megami Tensei 5, Scarlet Nexus, which looked interesting to me, but I never got it because I don't know. I haven't bought many games recently. But like, come on, let's give Monster Hunter its due already.
Okay, biggest reason why I'm okay with Monster Hunter not winning this award, I don't consider Monster Hunter an RPG.
Poo poo on you now.
I think it's the wrong category. It doesn't fit in sports and racing, but it is a hunting game, first and foremost.
No, it does, because you have the Palamutes, and you have a Sonic course in the game now. So it's definitely a racing game.
Okay, I'm just saying hunting would go in sports and racing, and I wouldn't like Monster Hunter in that category because it's not a hunting sport. It is hunting for mechanics. If that makes sense. I think it just needs to be an action or action adventure or that kind of thing. One of the more generic ones. Because it's harder to pin down Monster Hunter. I fully do not think Monster Hunter is an RPG. It doesn't hit a lot of the checkboxes for me as an RPG as far as like stats, leveling up, and that kind of stuff. There are stats, but it's all equipment based. Tell me what game doesn't have equipment that changes stats? Like even Doom has equipment. Like it's not. There's not a leveling up system to it. You're not grinding. Sure, there's RNG grinding for parts, but you're not like. It's not there to do the RPG sort of like. It's not. It doesn't fit the category well in my brain. I feel like calling it an RPG is doing the game a disservice because it's not describing the game well. That being said, on the flip side, Tales of Arise is an amazing game. And I am not done yet. I assume I am back to thinking I am near the end of the game. Because last week I talked about the fact that I was like, I get this big twist. I'm going to take a moment, and we are going to, like, do either of you two plan on playing Tales of Arise?
I don't know.
It's unlikely that I will play it.
Okay, I'm going to spoil the shit out of this game, all right? Because I have to talk to someone about this. Listeners, if you are playing Tales of Arise and have not finished it yet, please avert your ears for the next, I don't know how long, because it's going to take a while to describe. I just want to go through the plot of this game, okay? Now, granted, I will preface this by it is anime as hell. And despite it being that, I still actually enjoy this story. There is all sorts of stuff going on, but the plot of this game is just insane. Like, insane. So, preface. You are playing someone called the Masked Man. You have a literal metal mask that is over your head that somehow you can see through. There are no eye sockets. There are no mouth holes. He actually talks about the fact he has to shove food up through the face of the mask to eat. He can't remove it. He doesn't know why. Doesn't know what's going on. This is your main character. Right? You are called the Masked Man. You are a slave in a place called Calaglia, which is a desert. There are... What you know so far in the game is there are the people called the Renans and there's people called the Danans. And Renans are part of an alien invasion force of humans that took over the Danans and have been forcing them to do slave labor for a crown contest. And crown contest, think of the ideas of people's life energy called astral energy. They are harvesting people's life energy through hard work, literally being siphoned out of this device in their hand to collect it all in this ball, and whoever collects the most energy in a ball is the ruler of the world. And the Renans have this strict, like, royalty hierarchy kind of deal, and the Danans are all just slaves. This is how the game starts, okay? You're like, alright, you are a slave, you want to no longer be a slave, right? So you start fighting back. You fight guys. You are then you in your like adventure during a slave sort of deal run into this Renin girl named Shion, which is like the most anime name I have come across so far. And Shion is a Renin who is like an outcast or whatever because she has this terrible thing called thorns. And if you physically touch her, you get hurt. Like think of like a thorn spell. Like literally you get hurt touching her. This like purple pink thorn electricity shocks people who touch her. And you and her sort of team up, break out because she's arrested for being whatever. No one likes her. And I guess they put her in jail. And she wants to take down the crown contest and she doesn't tell you why, but she wants to destroy it all. And you're like, hey, I'm a slave. If I destroy it, we will free all the slaves. Fast forward, you beat the first lord of the area. There's 5 areas. During the battle, you can't really cut it. You're like, oh no, we don't have the ability. And then you pull a flaming sword out of Shion's chest. I should also say that, in fact, magic is a thing. They call it astral arts. Basically able to manipulate astral magic into spells. Only the Renans can do it. That's part of the reason why Danans are slaves, because they can't do it. You pull a magical sword out of her chest, and you defeat the Lord, and you make a deal to use the sword with her, because only you can wield it, because you can't feel pain. Your character can't feel pain. This is something that comes up at this point.
Do all the other slaves have like a metal, iron mask?
He's the only one.
So
he's the only
one.
one.
Is he also a Renan then that they made into a slave?
No, that was my theory going through this. That is not correct.
Okay.
Along the way, you meet several characters. Yeah, we'll be right back. Along the way, you meet several characters. You put the ragtag team, and you're taking down the lords, and you're learning more about the world and the people and yada yada. You meet a Danon girl who's been in hiding who can use astral arts, and they're like, why? And we were called mages, which is kind of funny. It's like, oh wait, that makes sense. They were mages. And you're like, but even the people who couldn't cast astral arts hated us, so we've been living in hiding since even before the Renans took over 300 years ago, kind of thing. So there's that. You meet the son of like your mentor, who is at odds with his dad, and during the throwing over the second lord, the dad gets killed and the son joins you, and you're trying to reconcile the grief and stuff. Actually, pretty emotional stuff, and is actually really well done. So it's actually like, oh man, that was actually a really good story point. I'm sorry I'm glossing over it, but the plot is just insane enough that I have to keep going. So you take down this lord, you go to the third realm, and you find out that in this realm, all of the Danans and the Renans are living as equals and living in peace. And you're like, come again? What? So how are you winning the crown contest? And the lord of that area is like, I'm not winning the crown contest. I don't want to. I literally don't give a shit. And you're like, huh, okay. Weird. Maybe this is how we should do things. Like, I like this guy kind of deal. But you're still like, what's going on? Turns out, behind his back, a lot of the people underneath him are still using Danans to win the crown contest, and he doesn't know, because they're keeping it away from him, and he's just a lord nobility who's never had to do anything for himself, so he doesn't know any better. Like that kind of thing. Find out there's a lake of death beneath his city. And I mean a lake of death as in, they figure out that if you use up all of the astral energy out of a person, you turn into a silver pile of goo. And there's a whole lake of a pile of goo beneath the city. A whole lake of dead people. And you're like, holy cow. Meanwhile, his captain of the guard, Kisara, also joins your party. And she's like a Danan who believes in the equality between the Renans and stuff because of that city. And you're like, cool. You basically usurp the bad guys. They kind of like deal with their own shit. In the process, Kisara loses her brother, who she's estranged from. Didn't want to, but he dies, showing them the Lake of Death. He proves the Lake of Death's existence by basically puddling himself into the lake. And they're like, what? Why would you do that? Of course, shatters both the reality of like basically the equality was almost a facade, but it wasn't the Lord's fault. That's what he really wanted to do, but it was crazy. A lot of crazy stuff, right? Like I'm saying. Get to the fourth realm. Fourth realm, you're like, we're gonna take it. Well, they've already liberated it. There's only Danans left. Where are all the Renans? And why does everything look like it's burned? Oh yeah, they freaking suicide bombed the procession of the Renans and killed everybody with bombs, including the other Danans. So they basically terrorist attack, killed everybody. Figure out these Danans are not cool people and are totally willing to kill people to get their way. And power-hungry Danon running the show, only to be tricked by the Lord who got away, comes back and liquefies everyone all at once to try to win the contest. See what I'm saying? This is a crazy plot, right? You go to kill her. You figure out that the mage girl that we talked about earlier, the Lord who killed her parents, is this Lord. So we're like I said, crazy stuff. Out of nowhere, the fifth Lord comes and kills the fourth Lord for you. And you're like, why? Who? What? What's going on? I don't understand. So like, you kind of regroup. All right, we're gonna go to the fifth area. We're gonna get this guy. We're gonna get the Renus Alma, which is like basically when you get all the orbs together, it creates the Renus Alma. Blah blah blah. We're going to do this. And meanwhile, the whole time there's a big group dynamic. Everyone's learning about themselves and life and stuff. And Shion is super distant. She won't tell you why she wants to have this stuff done. And everyone wants to be ha friends and everything. And Shion's like, don't touch me because it'll hurt. But also, I don't like people kind of thing. You don't understand. Blah, blah, blah. So you get to the fifth area. Everyone is literally mind controlled. Danons, Renans, everyone. Like robots, right? Figure out that this Lord had mind controlled everybody. Not really super complex. You're like, in this area, you're like, okay, cool. You kill the guy, kind of, he escapes. You get the orbs together. This is where I think the end of the game is. That last week, right? I was like, we got the orbs. Figure out at this point the reason why Shion wants the orbs, because it's the only way to get rid of her thorns. And a way that she can actually physically touch people. Because this woman cannot physically touch a person without hurting them to the point of near passing out or death. So it's like, yeah, that'd be kind of hard to live with. You couldn't even hug someone. Like, so she starts to get more acclimated and everyone starts to become friends and she's opening up to them. And this is why I want to do it. And they're like, we're going to help you, Shion, and save all the slaves. But we've liberated everyone. And what's going on? And, boy. I should describe at this point the fact that Dana is a planet. Rena is a planet. They are orbitally locked with each other. And there's like a space station between the two that was used as a jump off point for the Renans to get to the Danans. It's not important until now. Get the orbs. Suddenly this person with black eyes steals all the orbs, has a sixth unknown orb, and teleports away. This is where I'm like, what now? What's going on? So all this is going on, right? All this crazy stuff. You go to get the orb on the space station. It's not the space station. Let's go to the planet. You try to go to the planet. A bunch of copies of this red, like, dressed girl that we just saw steal the orb teleport your spaceship way out in Timbuktu of space, away from everything. Only to find yourself in front of a space station that has a copy of one of the red girls there in a stasis. Now, this is where the story... This has been insane so far, right? This is where the story gets even more insane. You figure out that the thorns inside of Shion is part of this dark god that is the dark astral energy of the planet Rena. And the planets, if they have all their astral energy gathered in one spot, create a consciousness. And Rena's is super evil. And Dana's is good. So they are good and evil, the planets. And it is trying to extinguish Dana. And it literally feeds on the energy of the other planet. And that's what it's been doing all this time.
So then maybe the Renas aren't actually evil. They're just doing really bad shit to try to get all the good astral energy together.
Kind of.
Combat the bad astral energy.
Here's the thing. It's so powerful, it just mind controls everything. So the Renans are not able to be mind controlled because they're from Dana. Things from Dana are not able to mind control. Now, we didn't know they're from Dana until this point. You're like, why can't they control these weird race of things that was the red suited girl is actually a different race, and they actually show you its true form. They are completely and utterly controlled by this thing, dark energy thing. And the reason why this one can't be is because it's too far away from the other planet. Some accident happened. It was on a repair ship, and the repair ship got knocked out of orbit from the space station, and it's sitting there by itself and learning everything. It tells the party that they, as a race, under control of the dark energy, kidnapped thousands upon thousands of Danans that were good with astral arts and made them into the Renans. And they only live on the space station. They never were from Renan. They never have even been to Renan. And when you pan out and you look at Renan, you look at it because they're tidally locked, right? The same faces always face each other in the rotation. It's just that side of the planet. Everything else is collapsed. It's literally like the part of an eggshell, like this. Like, it's so the planet's energy has collapsed the back half of it into itself. So it's just a shell of itself. And it's just like, holy shit. Anime as fuck. I have skipped over even some incredibly important parts. Like the fact that there is this such thing called the person who wins the contest is called the Sovereign. And it turns out your character is a Sovereign from way before. And his mask suppressed his memories and stuff, so your mask breaks off over time. I didn't even mention that. And he starts to remember stuff, like he was kidnapped, he was like experimented on, he was forced to become, and he remembers Shion somehow, but it turns out it's like an ancestor of Shion, and she's something called the Maiden. Like, I'm not even, this plot is crazy. Now, the cool thing is, it's really cool, it's really well done, and I'm not doing a service by going through this like frantic retelling. But it just, this is how crazy this plot is. And it won for best RPG. And I'm like, how many people finished this game and actually voted for this? Because like, I don't feel like they finished it. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's really good. It's really well voice acted. The plot, despite it being so crazy and anime and all that kind of stuff, is actually really well done. Very emotional in parts. Like, they deal a lot with, like, classism and racism very directly, even though they're kind of whitewashing it, because everyone's just white, sort of. Except for one character. I've seen it in the whole thing, and it's one of your party members. Who's dark-skinned. That's it. They don't deal a lot with sexism or anything like that, because in their society, men and women are just treated equal. They just, they don't deal with that, but they're dealing a lot with racism and classism, as much as the races look exactly the same. But it's just crazy. It's just like this crazy, really deep story. And I know I ranted on that for like a half hour, it feels like, but like, oh my gosh, like I've just like mind blow after mind blow. And I'm actually at a point where the story where I just learned all this information about the Danans are actually Renans or the Renans are actually Danans that were kidnapped long ago, and all this stuff. And all the characters are like, oh no, I don't believe that. That can't be true. Because there's been so much like outright hatred between the two races. It's just like, I can't, how does that, we're the same? Oh no. Like, and then like the magical girl is like, oh wait, the reason why there aren't other magic users is because they were all kidnapped and we escaped? Oh no. This is all this crazy stuff. So yeah, good game. I'm okay with it winning best RPG.
Fair enough. Alright, next up on the list.
I'm sorry. And this is where It Takes Two wins over Monster Hunter Rise for best multiplayer game, is what I have here. And I don't agree with this. I as much as I want to play It Takes Two, assuming
by the title of the game, is it only a max of 2 players?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Monster Hunter beats it. You get 4 max. Just by sheer numerical value, it beats it.
I don't think that's how it works, but yes.
And plus, I mean, just based on the amount of fun that you can have playing with other people
Sure.
in Monster Hunter.
It Takes Two is
over that.
specifically a story co-op game. And when I see multiplayer game, I know it is multiplayer. Definitionally, that is more than one person playing together. I don't feel that does the idea justice.
I mean, it is a game that does not have a single player option, though. You can't play It Takes Two by yourself.
Fair. Fair. I almost want a different category, but they're not prevalent enough for like good co-op games. Like good, like just co-op games. But you know what? Monster Hunter could be a co-op game as well. Because, you're never against each other. You're always working together. So, I don't know. It Takes Two can beat it in that category as well. But yeah, that was the one time I was like, oh, come on. Monster Hunter should have won that one. So It Takes Two. I really just wanted to play this game. Also, I have the guy's name written as Joseph. I don't know his last name. But the big creative director guy of It Takes Two is the same guy who's infamous in the Game Awards for saying "fuck the Oscars." It is this guy who has made this game.
His last name is Fares or Fares, Fares.
Okay, Fares. Yeah, Fares. Yeah, he's cool. He's super cool. I like how Jeff Keighley at one point during the show basically said, "I learned to not give him a mic," because he's almost every time said "fuck the Oscars," and it's been pretty funny. So much so it's kind of become a meme and almost like a rally cry for the Game Awards. Because I think legitimately Game Awards are enjoyable to watch. The Oscars are not.
I've seen Samus art saying "fuck the Oscars," so
yeah.
I guess that'll be the slogan for the Game Awards.
Yes.
Game Awards, because fuck the Oscars.
Yeah. So yeah. Multiplayer game Forspoken is revealed for PS5. Forspoken looks freaking amazing. So we got representation and equality. I don't think I saw anyone who wasn't black in that trailer. I think it was entirely a black cast on this fantasy game. It looked really cool. It looks like a legitimately cool game. It's like, hey, you are the Avatar in Avatar the Airbender, and you are the only person in that world who can do bending. Is the impression I got. They're like, because you're like some sort of alien or whatever. I don't know. It was really cool. Like you get ported to another world, and you can manipulate the elements. Your main character can. It's actually kind of cool that they had the voice actors for that trailer present it, I think. It was actually really cool. It looked really good. I was like, immediately, that is on the list. So about that, the next game is also on the list for me, Space Marine 2. I never played Space Marine 1, but looks really awesome. Third person hack, killing a bunch of bad guys in the Warhammer universe. Warhammer's so cool.
I mean, it was just funny in the context of like all the ground forces were just struggling, and then 3 guys in power suits drop in and hose down the enemy.
Yeah. While I was on there, Chrono was on the stream with me at that point. It was just, I think at this point it was just Ace, Chrono, and I. Chrono, who is a lot more versed in the Warhammer universe than me, was like, no, this is just how the Marines are in this universe. Like, 3 of them could totally take down that many. I'm like, oh, so it's like a power fantasy game. I'm in. I am in. I play Doom. I am in. Like, So that looked really cool. And then best action game, best action adventure, I should say. Metroid Dread. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
I finished Dread. This is one of the games I finished this year. I'm glad it won. Doug Bowser accepting the award. I just love seeing his name come up. Just for Nintendo, Bowser accepting the award.
I like your. I think you made the comment during it of course he turned it into a advertisement for the game.
Oh yes, he did.
When he was going over details of the game.
Yeah, immediately he was like, he started like selling the game based on how it is and stuff too. Immediately, although eventually he switched gears and started thinking, saying like, I'm here to represent the developers and the teams, and like he did switch gears to be more like the typical award thing, but he was the first person in all of them to really try to sell the game for winning an award. I was like, yes, you would, Nintendo. You would be the people to do that.
Oh well.
Another game trailer dropped. I don't remember what the name of the game was called, but I know it's in the Dune universe, and I am very into that lately. And it's a 4X game, and 4X being the exploration. Basically four facets to a strategy game, of it's like exploration, combat, resource management, and something else. It creates a 4X game. Spice Wars. Thanks, chat. Dune Spice Wars, and it's just like a good looking game. I don't know. I like the universe. I'd like to see 4X games, although usually are very extremely complex. So we'll see. I own a few, and I can't finish them like Last Federation. We got a cool, crazy trailer called Rumbleverse. It looked like open world Smash Brothers is the way I would describe it. That looked fun.
I know that you enjoyed the guy in the horse mask turning around going.
Yeah, yeah, it had a sense of humor too. Plaguetel Requiem. I played the Plague Tale last year. Really cool story game. It sort of kind of puts you in the Black Plague. That kind of time area, except your little brother has the magical ability to control these hordes of rats that carry the plague and kill people. But they're not exactly the nicest things. They will still kill you if you don't control them right. So it's a really weird sort of like fantasy game set around the Black Plague. And Requiem is the sequel. And, it's just sort of a teaser trailer. I have an idea of what the game is, but obviously it's the same mechanics, running away from the rats and the guards. You are a teenage girl, and we're talking like early teenage, not like 17, trying to get your brother to escape from the king, or something like that, like some nobleman trying to murder you too. So it's like kind of like Ellie's role in The Last of Us in the beginning part, where she wasn't really able to fight head to head as much.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, you are not a head-to-head fighter. You have to resort to stealth and traps and tactics, or pushing a guy into the sea of plague rats. So that kind of stuff. Cool series. I'm glad to see a sequel. Glad it did well enough. And then we got another music thing with Imagine Dragons doing a cover of a Bastion song mixed with their own song. It was actually really cool. I don't know Bastion's music well enough to know the difference, or whatever song that Imagine Dragons was doing to know the difference between which one was which. But it was a cool performance. Imagine Dragons was also on the very first Game Awards as well. So that was kind of cool for them. And this one, I want to talk about this award specifically. It was the best game for accessibility. which was won by Forza 5. And this is actually a really cool category. It's able gamers and that kind of stuff. Being able to facilitate people who can't play games as well. When they showed it, I was legitimately like, "That is super cool," and then I questioned it right away because I was like, "I don't understand." Now I don't know, but Forza won for having a sign language interpreter on the screen for Forza's dialogue. Now, this is really cool. They even showed a clip of how it works. Like, you're playing the game and you actually see in the bottom corner this woman doing the sign language along with the dialogue. Now, I don't want to belittle this. I think it's a really cool thing, and I just don't understand not being differently abled in that aspect or any aspect, honestly. But I don't understand the sign language over just reading the text. Now,
well, like I had suggested, I'm pretty sure people that use ASL are able to interpret signs quicker than they are able to read something.
Sure.
So subtitles, I think, while good in a lot of other contexts, aren't as quick at getting the message across as sign language, because they don't spell out the words like letter by letter.
No, they don't.
It's
words.
They use signs. So I think there's a certain degree of speed that you can achieve in conveying that type of thing with sign language.
That is a good point. I was just like, it gave me pause, and not saying it didn't deserve it for that. I'm not as well. Again, it was just like, I don't understand. Literally, it is. I just don't. But yeah, I could see it being faster. But I'm not sure. That doesn't sell me on the idea 100% still. But yeah, I it's cool. Obviously, a lot of work went into that. Having someone sign all the dialogue in something, that's a lot to do. It's a lot of recording.
There you go, accessibility haters. Call that journalist mode now.
What? What are you talking about?
Because that was the thing with The Last of Us too, last year.
They called it journalism mode.
Game, and people were calling it journalism mode because you could literally just like sneak or crawl your way through the entire game, or through major parts of it, and blah blah blah. I'm like, it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. And then obviously they do the after that, my last notes are the actual like Game of the Year award. As always, the Game Awards Orchestra did a great medley of all the different games together. This is one of my favorite parts of the show every time. When they transitioned into the Dread music, Metroid Dread, that was cool. That was a good transition. That was really good. Metroid Dread has some amazing music as well.
Yeah,
and then
that sort of had me thinking that Metroid Dread was going to win, but unfortunately not.
But It Takes Two took the gold, as well as several other prizes, and there we go.
Like, no hate to the game. I haven't played it.
I really wanted to play this game.
I have a general idea of what it's about.
Well, okay, so it's interesting because two parents are getting divorced, right? Mm-hmm. Which, being divorced, this hits close to home to me, and it's literally the two dolls of the kid that the parents have together that she has. She's sort of like trying to play with the dolls, and she thinks them as her mom and dad, and mom and dad end up being in those dolls and having to escape Toy World or whatever as those dolls, and work out their relationship issues at the same time. Kind of a neat concept.
Interesting concept. I I saw some opinions saying that it wasn't executed very well. So we'll have to see if
I never got to play it.
my continuing embargo on EA games will hold me from ever playing the game. So
That's true. Yeah, it is an EA game. I don't really have an embargo on EA games. I'm just normally not interested in their games. Period.
mm-hmm. Resident Evil Village would have been an interesting thing to have won.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, it was up there. It was up there for Game of the Year. Monster Hunter was not, although World was when World won Best RPG. It was up there for the award, I think, for Game of the Year. There's only been a few times where Game of the Year won, and I was like, "That's the one. That's the one I want to see." I think Disco Elysium was last year's, and I was like, I don't even know what that game is.
Well, hopefully we can get it back with Sunbreak.
Hopefully. Iceborne didn't even get nominated, if I remember, last year. So.
Well, then maybe it'll get ongoing.
Yeah, because technically, Sunbreak is part of Rise. But they do, I don't know. We'll see.
And then Elden Ring won Most Anticipated for the second year in a row. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I am excited about Elden Ring, bullshit on that. Breath of the Wild 2, all the way.
Yeah. Sort of for me, like, I don't know, God of War Ragnarok, yes. Breath of the Wild 2, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Monster Hunter Sunbreak, obviously. So.
I don't think Sunbreak was on the list.
No, it wasn't. I'm just adding it as a personal.
Sure. So, Sasha, you didn't get to talk much during that. I mostly just rattled off what went on. But how do you feel about, we talked about it all, overall, the show and everything?
I mean, I'm kind of sad I missed it. It sounds like it was a nice award show.
Yeah.
I don't feel very interested in It Takes Two, just based on what I've seen of it, what I've heard about it. So I'm a little disappointed that it kind of swept a couple of categories.
Yeah.
But
I felt the same way about Disco Elysium last year.
Disco Elysium has been a game that's been low key on my radar, but I have not actively put any work into starting it. I mean, I don't know. I think I'll be interested to see some of the stuff that some of the other games that were announced. I'll be interested to see how that plays out next year, or I guess probably the year later, depending on what actually gets delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple other things that were on my list that I saw some trailers for were the Star Trek game. The Star Trek Resurgence looks really cool to me.
Oh, yeah, there was a Star Trek game, yeah.
It looks like it's supposed to be an RPG. So I'm interested in that, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Oh, I can't believe I skipped that. I was so hyped for that.
Like a D&D Borderlands.
It's
I'm all for that.
It's bunkers and badasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am so into. Now, I don't like Borderlands in general lately, because my bad experience of Borderlands 1. And my brother is refusing to play Borderlands 3 until he gets a PS5, and now he's starting to turn down opportunities for PS5s from the game store because he doesn't want a used one. And I'm like, I just want to play a game with you, damn it. Like, but that said, I will probably play Tiny Tina's without him. Well,
tell him to get the $200 Best Buy subscription, and then you'll have a better access chance to get a PlayStation 5 from Best Buy.
That's a thing?
Yeah. They have a $200 total tech subscription service that gives you better access to Holiday's hottest deals and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, I believe. Or at least the X falls under that.
Well, I don't think that's super relevant for us because that is an hour drive either way to get to Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels bad. Just fucking make
Like
more PS5s.
it comes with more than just that. Like you get
Obviously,
like
yes, but
24-hour tech service, but like yeah, chalk that up on top of Walmart apparently hoarding PS5s as the rumors have been going around lately.
oh
So
well.
all sorts of fun.
Yeah, I was talking to the game store because we were talking about holidays. Can we try to get a PS5 kind of deal for Chance? And he's like, yeah, I've had like 17 Series X come through. They always sell pretty quickly, and they've only had the one PS5 be sent to them. They had one used one come in, which they were able to sell. And my brother's on the next on their list of like, hey, next time we get a PS5, you're up. We're gonna call you specifically. You're gonna get it. And Chance is like, if it's used, I don't want it. And I'm like, and he went next door to the card shop to go play. And I hang out there until they close on Wednesdays. And I was like, as soon as he left, I'm like, hold it for him. Don't listen to what he said. Hold it for him. I'm gonna strong arm him into getting a PS5 so we can play something together. Because
And two more interesting ones that you're forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
Senua's Saga.
Oh yeah, Senua's Saga.
Really interesting.
I didn't write everything down. I'm terrible at that. Yeah, that looks good. That giant fucked up some people. That giant really fucked up some people.
And then see if you can remember this one by the joke that I made when it happened. Voldemort.
Oh, I remember you looked. What was that? I remember the exact scene. I remember the. Nope.
The Star Wars game with the drummers.
Oh yeah, Star Wars. Okay, yeah. Yes.
That one looks interesting.
Voldemort. That was pretty funny. Yeah, because he turns around and he's got that Voldemort nose kind of thing. Like, oh, okay. Weird. All right. Sasha, was there anything else we missed on your list?
Nope. That was it.
So I got the impression that the Star Trek one was actually kind of like the Telltale game you mentioned earlier. That's what I got.
Yeah. Either way, I want to play it because I love Star Trek.
Fair. I just didn't write it down because it was Star Trek.
All I saw, because I watched like a 20-minute video that was trimmed down trailers of everything that they showed at the Game Awards.
Sure.
And I saw Spock, and my heart skipped a beat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Really odd that they're still leaning on Spock. Now, not saying that Spock is a bad character or that Leonard Nimoy doesn't deserve recognition forever for what that role that he played. It's find it odd that a lot of series still rely on actors who have passed away when you could still lean on someone like Picard or Kirk or someone who's still around also.
I'd rather not lean on Kirk.
Fair. He's not a great character in this. I understand this, yes. However,
but
he is alive.
There's 3 seasons of Picard, or they're about to do season 3 of Picard.
Yeah, that one I could see more of them leaning on than now. Again, I don't want to discount Spock's importance, but it feels like it's a little weird to rely on the people who have passed away like Star Wars did as well.
Well, they should not be afraid to introduce new characters and like poo-poo on what the fucking fans say.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff with Disco is ridiculous. Like, people are so upset about every little bit of representation in Discovery.
Mm-hmm. And like I mean,
That's what you meant by
we saw what
disguise, because
happened.
I only knew it as dance, and I was just like, I don't know what
I
the
mean,
problem with that is.
we saw what happened with fucking new characters in Star Wars with the most recent trilogy. A lot of people shat on like the new cast and the new characters.
Oh,
And it's like,
Poe Dameron is amazing. He's like one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe now. Like,
not only that, but like Daisy Ridley and the Asian actress who played Rose. I'm forgetting her name. But
Tram, I feel like, is her last name.
Tram.
I think.
Both of them were like essentially bullied off of social media, and I think Daisy Ridley is on a hiatus from acting, even, or has stopped for the time being.
yeah. I
like,
mean, as much as I just don't enjoy the new trilogy stuff, usually, I think I don't like them personally that much. They have great moments, like some of the best moments in movie history, especially the hyperdrive through another ship. Like that was, if that hadn't been ruined by someone's fart and then blaming it on my wife at the time, that'd have been amazing. But still a great movie moment. But overall, I don't find that I feel like those are the weakest trilogy. But at the same time, the acting in it was really good, like better than the other ones. Period. Like the acting was good. It's just,
and like, don't get me wrong,
story wasn't.
Yeah, the script could definitely use some work in some certain areas. Like, they didn't have to go as ham and fist with some of the lines that they did, but
sure,
like, even to take it to another series or entity, I saw a fucking article today that was like, Hawkeye doesn't have a future in the MCU, and I'm like, nor should he. Like, Jeremy Renner probably doesn't want to play the same character forever, and I think it's cool that he got his own little sideshow. Like, but like,
Jeremy Renner is like a blue collar guy who somehow got famous, and he like does like construction or something. I think he like remodels houses and flips them. And
yeah, but like, this attachment to want people to like play the same characters forever is really bizarre. And like, I mean, Harrison Ford is like, I love him for just like wanting to have Han Solo fucking executed in like, what, the second movie or whatever it was he was in.
Yeah,
like, it's weird that people want typecasting so badly, or just want people to be like entrenched in a character.
Now, I will say sometimes if you have the same character, right? There's something to be said about having a character stay a long time, and then also on the same side of that, it's a little jarring to switch actors on a known character as well. So, like, take for example, what a show I like is Last Man Standing with Tim Allen. I don't know if you've ever seen this. It's funny. It's a general sitcom kind of thing. He has 3 daughters. All right, and it's kind of funny because they make fun of Tool Time. He's like, he meets like the actor who does Al in one of the episodes. He's like, I thought you had 3 boys, and he was like, no, daughters, definitely daughters. Like stuff like little jokes like that. But his oldest daughter in the series in season 1 is played by, and the love interest of, well, not the love interest. The father of her child is also played by a different person in season 1. This show has gone on for like 4 or 5 seasons now, and they have changed the cast. They changed the cast of the older daughter. I would say acting-wise for the better, but it was very jarring because she did not look like her at all. Different hair color, different body type even. Like, not even close. And you're like, it takes you like a good solid 5 minutes of context to realize that they switched the actress in the second season. Yeah. And that's a little jarring. And here's the problem. The middle daughter, they've switched her 3 times. And like, you're like, I can't care about this character because like it's just all over the place, and the actors take the character a little bit of a different way, and it's like,
well, maybe that's got something to say with the production behind the scenes. Then, if they're
fair,
rotating actors that
but it is a
frequently.
joint effort too. The actors do bring something to the table there, and I don't disagree with your point that we don't need to have the same person. I actually heard a really good thing about Tom Holland, who's doing Spider-Man. Right, he's got another Spider-Man coming out, and he said, "If I'm doing Spider-Man in 10 years, I've done something wrong." Was his quote, and I was like,
However, I have seen recently that he is going to play Spider-Man again.
"Yeah." He's also Nathan Drake right now.
Yeah, because he was allegedly supposed to be done after this one, but now I've seen stuff claiming that he's going to be in.
I mean, as with anything in the Marvel universe, when they've kept actors around, they'll throw more money at them. They will.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I was gonna bring up like, I'm fine with them replacing characters, because we had between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, we had Terrence Howard, and then it switched to Don Cheadle, and that was a money thing. So apparently they switched their tune because Terrence Howard wanted more money, and they, I guess, weren't willing to give it to him. But it seems that
it's because he was an asshole.
That too.
I mean,
yeah.
He and what's his face were on Empire together, so that kind of seems to be a trend of people on that show.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. There's a lot of movies coming out though that I want to see if we want to talk about that, because there's a Zachary Levi movie that's about football that I want to see.
Oh yeah, I started seeing trailers for that today.
I like me some Zachary Levi. I think I mentioned this already, but also,
and I'll just also mention he's in Fallout New Vegas.
Yep. But also The Matrix is coming out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I didn't download it yet, but they have the Matrix game that you can play.
During the Game Awards, they did debut a new Matrix trailer with the Matrix game that just suddenly dropped for free. That was weird. But Keanu being very weird, and Keanu during that as well, being over exaggeratory. Did you see there was some sort of clip I saw about NFTs and Keanu Reeves? Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw that just before that, where he was laughing off NFTs. How they were copyable or whatever.
The interviewer was asking him and the actress who plays Trinity. I don't remember her name. I'm sorry. That's the only thing I've ever seen her in. So, he was like, so what do you think about non-reproducible IPs? As he was basically trying to get up to NFTs, and he's like, you mean they're easily what is it? Unable to be copied or so, whatever the interviewer said. And he's like, oh, they're reproducible. And then the guy tried to no, they're not. And then he's just literally at the interviewer, he's just oh, you're just his face was you're an idiot. Oh, it was so funny.
Yeah, this fucking weird trend. I
still don't even understand it.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Sasha, you seem lost.
What you talking about?
Yeah, that's basically my understanding of NFTs. My understanding, in some capacity, they're like a subscription service to get better access to bands and movies and properties and stuff like that. In other capacities, they're almost like a stock, but a single image.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
chain blocks that prevent it from being copied and blah blah blah. But there's literally been like dozens of screen captures I've seen of people like screenshotting or just saving a person's NFT Twitter profile picture, and then that person being like, "Hey, delete that. Why delete it? I thought it was like I thought you couldn't copy it. I thought it was just yours." So like, I've
Yeah,
seen
it's
that.
really
Like,
weird. It's like this. From what I understand, because I still don't understand this. It's like a sprite, a GIF, or JPEG, or some sort of image that is supposed to be intellectually owned only by a single person, and they pay money for it. And
from
that's
what I understand of it,
insane.
it's a fad scam that is
Oh, like video
probably
game
trying to
grading,
get a
like
yeah,
unopened video game
probably
grading. Yeah,
probably trying to rip off artists because like if they can't own their art, then why should you? Like, you shouldn't just be able to buy someone's art and then have exclusive rights to it.
I mean, I purchased someone to do the Hunter's Hub logo. I paid them what was it? I don't remember what I paid them a while ago, just to do the art. But like, whatever. If someone uses it, it's just advertisement for us. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a fad scam to me, and like sooner or later that bubble's gonna burst. And I've seen like posts of people saying they've made like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's like, cool, glad that works for you right now, but there's no guarantee it fucking will a couple months down the road from now.
it's so weird. It's so weird. I don't like I said. I don't. I literally just like my understanding is that you were buying an image, and you're just saying I own this image, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like I don't get it.
Well, like I sort of mentioned before, it's supposed to have like something called like a chain block that disallows it from being like copied or preserved elsewhere.
I'm sure
And it's
there's
supposed to
ways.
only be yours.
There's
Oh
all
yeah.
sorts of crazy stuff that you could like. Is it Netflix? Literally, if you tab out of Netflix, Netflix shuts itself down. You can't screen cop Netflix on your computer. Like if I press print screen and I'm on Netflix and I pull up that print screen in Paint, it's a black nothing with Netflix there. And I'm like, that's insane. That's insane how they figure out how to do that because it's detecting that you're not doing something. It's detecting you're doing something else on the computer and sort of like shutting itself off.
I don't know. To me, it's like the whole crypto bro culture
No, it
thing.
is. It is. And there's like a freaking commercial now on TV because my dad still watches TV of like Matt Damon saying about how people are brave and they should invest in crypto. And I'm like, what? What? Why? Like, we got into a weird place today.
Yeah. No, I'm like crash coursing myself right now on it. It does sound just like cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
Yeah,
essentially.
it's like stupid made up nonsense.
Yeah. Someone made a good point of like, oh yeah, I could pay with this for my Bitcoin stuff, and it's like, do you really want to be paying for stuff with a flexible currency? Do you really want to do that? Because it's like, hey, one day it's worth billions of dollars. 3 weeks later, it's 17 cents. Like, I don't.
It's all just rolling the dice and hoping against hope that you'll strike it rich.
That's
And
like taking like the fact that the American dollar is no longer against the gold standard and just amping that problem up by 11. Like, I feel like that's what that is, right? Like that's the kind of risk you're taking. Like,
I saw an article headline today that was like, "Are is Lego still more valuable than gold?" And I'm like, when was that? When did I miss this?
Lego, yeah.
Because I guess I can start. I guess I can start like vacuum sealing plastic around some Lego sets and just store them in the attic for a couple decades. You know.
Lego shit is expensive. You ever seen one of those, like, especially the Star Wars ones?
Dude, have you seen the new AT-AT set?
No.
It's fucking $800, or no, 700. But it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, you put any number in front of 100, and that's too much.
And
it's $100. I'm not paying that for Legos. I'm sorry.
they have a Titanic set that's like $700.
Look, I don't decry the people who are into Legos for this kind of stuff, but that is way too much money. I mean,
I got a Boba Fett's ship over there, the new set that's like smaller than the one that I had when I was a kid, but a lot more detailed. I would say that was $50.
There's a Millennium Falcon here that's been completed by my husband. There's also a Cantina. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't have a lot of room to talk being a card game player. Now, granted, I do not pay hundreds of dollars for these cards. I never will. But my brother has and will continue to do so.
There's your NFT.
I mean, he literally does call it cardboard crack. Like, he really does. And, yeah, it's just like, hey, I'm paying $1,000 for a piece of cardboard. Like, but the thing is, like,
I know the temptation of buying packs and getting good pull and then wanting to immediately hit that dopamine high again.
Not just that. So my brother has a card in Magic called the Gaia's Cradle, right? And people who play Magic know what this card is. It's a really good card in the game. Now, there is value to that because you can take that card, take it to a professional tournament, and win money. And this card is pretty integral to some of those strategies that could be good to win money, right? There's a reason why these cards are like worth that much, but when you look at it in a vacuum of like, this trading card is $1,000, you're just like, that's insane. No, never. Now, there is an application to that, whereas I don't feel like there's an equivalent application to any of this other stuff. Like, and even the card stuff is still, I will not pay hundreds of dollars. I have exactly bought one card single that was above, like, I think the most I have ever spent on a single card was $18. Like, that's it. I haven't spent hundreds of dollars on a card.
The most money I've put into MTG was ever just buying a booster box and just going through all the packs.
Yeah, see, here's where you and I are going to differ. The next Flesh and Blood set, it's going to be like 400 something for me.
All right,
I told you that. I am in on that game, but
I should say I also bought a booster box that was within a standard set, because if you go to like Modern Masters, those boxes get really pricey.
Yes,
with the cards that they have in there. I have not done one of those. I think I've maybe bought like a handful of packs at a time from a master set, but I've never bought a box because like $300 to $400 for a box of cards is not very viable.
So back to, well, we pretty much covered the Game Awards. Is there anything that's been going on this week that you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I've been vigorously wiping out the seas in Animal Crossing New Horizons.
What do you mean by wiping out the seas?
Because you can go diving in New Horizons. And I've been able to farm up
part of
a lot
new
more.
Update?
Yeah.
Okay.
You literally put on like a wetsuit, and then you can go and swim and capture sea creatures.
Instead of fishing, or is it new stuff?
It's new stuff.
Okay.
So like, there's still fishing, but there's now sea creatures, so you can get like giant deep sea clams, octopuses, mussels, scallops, things like that. You can get pearls, and like I've just taken to using my trips out to islands to just going and doing that because I can pull like between 100,000 to probably 250,000, depending on what I grab.
So, on that note, where you're talking about like diving and stuff, one of my favorite things to do that is like in a lot of video games that I love is fishing mini games.
Mm-hmm.
And legit, the best way to make money in Tales of Arise is fishing. It's not even close. Like, I have spent so much time just fishing in that game. It's actually a really cool mini game where you gotta like, it's quick time events, right? But you got to do the quick time events to get the fish and stuff, and you have different lures for different fish. But once you catch the right amount of fish, you can either there's certain ones you can cook for like special recipes to get buffs, but then they sell for like thousands of money on that game or whatever. So like I get that with the diving thing. It's like fishing is like my thing as a mini game in a game. It's like I never have done it. I've never pulled the trigger, but I look at those like Bass Pro Fisher on the Switch and I'm like, maybe.
Just get Far Cry 5 or Far Cry New Dawn. There's fishing in the Montana wilderness.
Now Far Cry I haven't played. I don't think I've ever played a Far Cry. Now I did pick up Blood Dragon because I was told the Blood Dragon was supposed to be the one I would enjoy. Although I've always looked at Primal and been like, mammoths though. Mammoths. I will say I've played and finished a game on the Switch since we last talked called Angry Alligator. I do not recommend. It's not bad. It's just like I've talked about Maneater, where you play the shark that gets bigger and bigger, and it's like Maneater, except you're an alligator, except it's not as good. And Maneater was like okay when I got it for 15. This isn't as good. Don't get it. I also started a new game that is a Pokemon like game, and it's called Monster Crown on the Switch. Now I literally had just started the tutorial, but it is Pokemon. Like as far as like mechanics go, you do pick a monster, they do fight each other, and you capture them. Except you write up a contract with the monster. You literally show the monster a contract, and if they agree to the contract, they come and help you on your team. Also, it kind of makes fun of Pokemon because it's like, you go downstairs and you just have a mom. Like your dad's been gone for years in like nearly every Pokemon game. Is there ever a Pokemon game where you have a dad?
If you believe the rumors that Professor Oak is your dad, then yes.
Or Mr. Mime in some of the rumors. Anyways, you start out, the guy who is the tutorial person is your dad, and you are a farmer. Like, he's telling you to go out and plow the field, so like your tutorial for catching like a monster, because they call them monsters, it's just Monster Crown. Basically he wants to go get a like cattle like monster to plow the fields for this season. So he tells you, go out, catch one of these so I can use it in the field, and there you go. And he actually says, now remember, when you go on your adventure, you can't use this later. This is mine. Like, he gives you like his weird. Now, granted, the graphics look like it was done probably Pokemon Gold and Silver. Like it's not great, but it's been okay so far. And I haven't got my own monster yet, So we'll see. I did take the last thing I did is I took a personality test to see what my monster was. My starting monster. Literally, they say, "Oh, for your reward, I got you surprise today, son, for helping me out catch this cattle monster thing." There's a name for it. He got you a comic book, and there's something special on the back. So he literally, the next scene is a character of you being like, "It was a good comic book," and on the back is like this personality survey, and one out of whatever kids gets to have their own monster based on the personality quiz. So I was like, I took this like pseudo personality test to see what my starter is, and then that's where I had to shut off the game and get ready for the show. So we'll see. So I started that. And like I said, Dragon Age Origins, I tried it. It was just nothing to do with the game. I was actually quite into it until it started crashing. That was like, I was like, that is rough. And if it crashes, one of the reasons I found it or scenarios in which it crashes, if I die, which I did, and I try to reload from that menu, like just hit reload from last save as like one of the buttons, it crashes every time. So, yeah.
That's unfortunate. I figured out how to get my Nintendo accounts merged. I could not find my password written down, so I like went back to my mindset of what kind of shit did I put in as my passwords like 7 years ago.
Right.
And I cracked it. And I had $26 on my Nintendo account too, so that went towards my purchase of Diamond. So I did start playing Diamond. I haven't had a ton of time because I've been really busy at work, but I beat the first gym, and then I've just been messing around trying to level up a couple of Pokemon before I push forward.
Probably a breeze for you, a lot better than it was for me. Because that first gym was brutal.
I had Piplup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had Piplup. I really do. Piplup would have been amazing.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, so far there hasn't really been great choices for the first gym, unless you leveled him a chop. But
yeah,
he's a bug trainer.
Yeah,
she knows. She knows what I went through.
But I just mean in general because I've played. I think I've probably played like 4 hours. So every Pokemon that I've caught would have gotten its ass beat by the first gym.
Turtwig wouldn't have a lot of problems either. I think it's if you just had
the fire.
Is it Pancham?
Chimchar.
Oh, is Pancham the panda?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
He's the fighting panda.
Yeah. I've never had an Infernape that I was satisfied with, so that was a no.
I've never had one, period. Back before I did the bug thing, I know I picked Turtwig because I remember having whatever the third evolution is with the tree on it. The turtle tree thing. Mm-hmm. I don't remember its name.
Grottle, I think.
I don't know. I took a lot of pictures of them in Pokemon Snap as well. New Pokemon Snap. Yeah, and I was going to ask you that since you now have a Switch, but it seems like just so far Diamond.
Yeah, I just got Diamond. I haven't downloaded anything else because I already know that Diamond's going to be a lot of time for me, and I don't have a lot of time anyway.
I just remembered there was a DLC announced for Cuphead, also at the Game Awards, and I'm going to get Cuphead for my Switch.
Get Monster Hunter Rise.
Okay.
Sunbreak.
Okay.
Save money, get Sunbreak.
Okay.
Yeah, there probably is going to be a bundle with Sunbreak next summer. Probably.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's the most newcomer friendly in the series.
They all are. Each new one is the most newcomer friendly, to be fair. Because they're like, oh yeah, that was super complicated. Let's tone that down. And they've been doing that for 18 years.
I mean, just with the addition of the wire bugs, I would say makes it the easiest it's ever been because you can zip in and out of places and run on walls and shit like that. My former roommates actually picked it up for their Switch too, and then they ended up getting some of the amiibos too. And I'd been trying to indoctrinate them for years.
Might pick it up maybe after assessment season is done for me, but I'm about to be very busy for the next like 6 weeks at work.
Now, this is probably an after show question, but I assume I know the answer. In 2 weeks, I don't think we're doing an episode, right?
I'm gonna be wrapping presents probably. So
hold on.
I don't think we can logically pull a Christmas Day episode. I'm actually available because I'm going to be at
a Packers game apparently. So
on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Apparently.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Fun.
So
foosball. Yeah.
So I guess tune in and watch. Maybe you'll see me possibly freezing my ass off.
Will you be wearing a cheese head?
I will need to find one if I am going to. But you'll probably see me holding a beer and or a brat or both.
Both would be the most respectable.
We went to family night this summer and they have like these giant like foot long brats and I was like, holy shit. Yes.
Oh.
Give me 5 of those.
There was actually a really good like hot dog and sausage place called Hippie Hot Dog recently in Chillicothe. They've closed now. You know, they were open for a good 3 months, but they had foot long bratwurst. They had
nice.
And they had like what they called like a mega dog that was called I think it was just called the Austin Powers. It was just like a mega foot long hot dog. It was like a 3 times as thick hot dog, which was super gross. I'm not gonna lie. I like hot dogs, but this thing did not taste good.
I mean, there's a certain ratio that you have to hit. Like with the Oreo crackers and the filling and stuff like that, I feel like it's the same with like the bread, condiment, and meat ratio for like hot dogs and brats and burgers and things like that. If one of them's too off, you're fucking yourself.
Yeah. Well, they're closed now, so they were kind of neat. They had all sorts of crazy themed hot dogs. I liked it.
That sounds cool.
Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up tonight, guys. And we'll catch you next week, I think. Even though it's going to get close to the holiday season, because like we'll see about 2 weeks from now. Maybe I'm free, but that is Christmas Day, and that's going to be a hard sell for some people. So we'll see. And of course, that'll be like New Year's Day, the week after, which not New Year's Eve. If it landed on Eve, that might be a problem to record.
We can have a drunk stream. Woo!
Where I'm just corralling drunk people on stream because I don't drink.
Yeah, I don't really funny. Drink either.
Hey,
I go too hard.
So we'll have Ace drunk on stream while we try to have a conversation.
No, I mean, I probably will drink too. The reason I don't drink is because I'm too old to recover from how much I like to drink.
Oh, so okay.
I just don't drink.
Fair. You just have to have a good amount of hangover food. Or hangover food options.
Or hear me out, just not get a hangover because I have a toddler. They don't care.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kids do not give a crap about how you feel or your time to get up. They do not. Now, I understand you have a younger person living with you, but that kid's like in middle school, right? Like he's
still in elementary.
Elementary?
But no, I know the younger degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a younger brother and I was there for the younger years.
Look at what I found, Ace. It's the acorn sword that goes with my I just found this on my desk. It goes to the Palamute Palico plushie. It's the acorn weapon.
Oh.
Anyways.
Oh.
Yeah, so we will be here next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet. But next week, at least I will have the year for the January games. The years, okay. I should say.
You gonna start studying, Ace?
No, I just like in actual school. Probably no studying.
Big feedback. We need to be able to study. Ace. Nah.
I'm not gonna study.
I'm just gonna Ace. Watch, Ace is gonna blow it out of the water next time. He's gonna win the.
Oh no! You see, you've unlocked.
Brain mode.
You have unlocked something in me, and I don't know if I can handle a defeat on the second game.
Okay.
So I'm gonna really come for you in the second game.
All right. Well,
then by the third, I'll probably cool it, but
I'll have to be like, all okay. Right. I'll ask a guest, like, do you know games at this, like stack the odds against Sasha, and she'll still win.
I still think I should have gotten the full credit for that Civilization game. Because
you said Civ 4.
You know what?
It's
hey,
Civ 5.
You know what? I'll give you all 3 of those points, and you still lost that game.
That's fine. I'd rather have what would that be? 4 points instead of 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It would have been, yeah. But unfortunately, if it's a numbered title, I can't give it to you if you say like 4 and it's 5 or you know, I can't do that.
I feel like that would be acceptable in the case of like if it was like a Star Wars game, but like if it's just like one of those ongoing series games.
Okay, if it's something like
kind of
Madden,
a little more leeway.
If it's something like Madden, which I will never do, I will say this: if there's a game like the completely out of my water, completely like I will not be doing like Madden, NBA 2K. You might see an NBA Jam from like the earlier stuff, but like no, like I can't. How do you do levels anyways? What do you say? North Dakota, like.
No, I think it would be whoever was on the cover that year.
I would still get it wrong, personally. I know exactly like 5 basketball players because I watched Space Jam. Like,
I would never get any of the NBA ones, but I think pretty much all through when I lived at home, my brother dominated the television with football. So,
fair enough.
When in Rome.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Like, a lot of my good friends in Columbus are big football fans, especially Ohio State, you know, because I'm here. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'll enjoy the game if I'm there and it's on. Like, my friend had, like, a housewarming party with the Ohio State game on. And not that I am rooting for Michigan, of course, because I am a respectable Ohioan. But it was funny to sit there and root for Michigan while they were rooting for Ohio. That's just the kind of person I am.
Very nice.
I think Sasha's holding back being from Michigan.
No, actually, we are Buckeye fans in this house.
Oh, really? Did not know that.
And it's a big deal because everyone on our street flies Michigan flags, and my husband has his Buckeye flag. I'm surprised we haven't been vandalized yet.
You know, I say that about what I call Michiganians here in Ohio. It's like, oh, so you're one of those people who's a Michigan fan here. Yeah, that wasn't a good idea. Like, not that I care, because I don't, but the rivalry's bad enough that I would have second thoughts about saying who you were support.
People cuss my husband out in the store during football season.
Oh,
and he's just like, it's not that big of a deal.
I can't help that I like this state over another state. Like what?
Yeah, that's Packers with Bears and Vikings and Lions.
The Bears.
So like,
yeah, the Lions are such a joke, though. I mean, just pity them.
I mean, yeah, I mean, what is their record even this year? I haven't been paying attention. I never do.
0-1-1. It's like they've lost all their games. They've tied one, and they won one.
Oh boy,
yeah.
That sounds like when I went to the professional Flesh and Blood tournament recently.
Oh no, they've done worse. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. They had a completely winless, tieless season. They lost every single game. They were like 0-16 or 17, however many games they had that
I think
season.
It was 16 that year.
That's rough.
I'm always one to be like, fuck them, but man, that must have been hell.
My brother's a big Lions fan. I don't really care that much, but I developed the philosophy because of the Lions that if you're a professional sports player and your team hasn't won any games, you should be donating your salary to the team that you, like the city you live in, because you didn't do your job.
That's fair enough.
Well, for me, the only way I get involved in this is my favorite time of year as far as sports goes is the March Madness stuff because they do all the brackets. And I know nothing about any of the bracket stuff other than, the seeds. I understand how the seeds work, best to win versus. So you go through the March Madness stuff, right? You want to how to make your entire office angry with you? You pick...
Win the bracket without knowing anything about it.
Essentially, I picked the brackets based on me Googling the mascots and seeing which mascot would beat the other mascot. So, like, eagle versus snake, eagle wins. Like, stuff like that. Like, I don't think there is a snake team on college basketball, but, whatever. This is an example. Mm-hmm. This person would totally beat up this person. And then being very open about how I picked my stuff and then winning the bracket. That's how you get an office angry. And then they were like, how did he win? Well, because you weight the upsets higher in points than you do the normal wins. And apparently picking based on mascots meant I had a lot of upsets. That won that year. I think it was 2008 specifically. In 2008, maybe 2007. It was a rough year for them.
Man, Sasha, wow, these teams this year. So yeah, you were right. The Lions are doing 1-10-1. The two next worst teams. Let me just double check to make sure. So I'm not spitting in anyone's eyes. Are the Jaguars and the Texans, which are like neck and neck with the Lions there, with 2 wins and 10 losses each. Wow.
And they just all beat each other, like in a round robin thing. Just once.
I mean, they're
would lose it in the fourth quarter.
Could you imagine though?
That's fucking wild. Weren't the Jaguars in the fucking playoffs like a year or 2 ago?
I think so, yeah.
What the fuck?
I wouldn't know. I tell you what, when I used to live in Dayton, sometimes I would go on like these group hiking trips with people we didn't know. So we're making conversation. We're out there in like January, February, right? Super Bowl season. Mm-hmm. And someone's like, "Hey, buddy, who do you think's gonna win Super Bowl this year?" And I'm like, "Who's playing?" And he'd be like, "Oh, so and so," and I'm like, "I think they are gonna win." And he's like, "I catch it. You don't follow football." I do not.
Good guess. Apparently, is to just say Tom Brady.
Yeah, Thomas Bradley. I like the damn joke that Battlefield 2044 had with him being like elderly and still playing. Did you ever catch that in the trailer?
No, but I
In one of the
love that
trailers,
so much.
Oh
in
my
one of the
gosh.
trailers for the game, it has like a photoshopped like elderly Brady on like a digital sign as like still playing in the NFL. And
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
I mean, we're on track for that.
I love that so much.
Wow.
I think he like looks grizzled. He has like a gray stubbly beard too.
Oh,
I think
okay.
the only thing that would make it better is if his hand was just covered in Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
It's just a brass knuckle of Super Bowl rings.
Yes.
Oh. Wow. We got a lot of talk out of sports we don't follow today. I like it. Oh, it's got a little bit of a glare, but I can see the numbers. Okay, yeah, I see him now.
Yep, there it is.
Okay.
He's the MVP.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, we'll try to wrap this up again. Thank you guys for listening tonight as we rambled, and I'm sorry if you got tuned out during the Tales of Arise explanation. Like I said, I had to tell somebody. It's just freaking nuts. But awesome game awards this year. I think it was for the most part. Obviously, there's critiques to be had, but I always appreciate them, and I appreciate the work that Jeff Keighley does to do those. And I might turn it into Summer Game Fest this year. I haven't since yet, but we'll see. Anyways, sports one at Hunter Sub Pod, both Twitter and Twitch, and be sure to join our Discord. Be sure to check out some of the other shows we do. Bickering Bucks is going to be recording this Saturday for Metroid Dread. We're going to be covering how we liked that game. Spoilers, I liked it a lot. We just did No More Heroes. That episode was just a couple weeks ago. And we're coming up on this show and the and Bickering Bucks in January. We're going to be doing our Game of the Year discussions, hopefully. And what we're going to do is what we normally do is 5 games each, and we're going to have hopefully a guest on. So we'll have 20 games to talk about. It'll be a longer episode. I'm sorry, but there's always a lot to talk about. Game of the Year, unless you didn't get to play a lot of games that year, and then you get basically 5. And then you're like, I played these 5 games, and they're my games of the year. That has happened before, but I have a lot. Gosh, Ace, how many times have you done the your year Nintendo stuff? I remember doing it in January this year. The last I did, I had 67 games played on Switch.
Oh, the year wrap up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to see when that's coming up because I always like doing that.
Yeah,
I'll have to see if
67 so far has been my lowest year. I'm usually over 100.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to see if Animal Crossing will now make a resurgence here at the tail end of the year. But I'm hoping
over
Rise will. Yeah, I'm hoping Rise will take the main spot. Because I mean, I have like 300 something hours in that. I think.
Yeah, I'm almost positive Rise won on that. I don't think there's anything I came near to putting even 100 hours in. So we have those things coming up. At Ace Badger Gaming on Twitter for Ace here, if you want to follow him. Of course, we're all in the Discord. Be sure to join that if you want to talk to us. And we'll wrap it up tonight, guys. Thanks for listening, watching, whatever you did, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Peace.